So I got something super cool for you guys. Starting a new segment. It's called Brews Eats with Badass Peeps. So here we go. This is Howe, and the concept of this segment is to get other local musicians and national musicians and ask them all the same questions. Share something with you guys. Maybe you've never met Tim before and want to be introduced to him. His music's incredible.
Oh,
so
shucks.
This segment is sponsored by Timothy Howe paper towels. Melts in your mouth, not in your hands.
Every time.
Why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about yourself?
Local musician. I grew up in Lakeville, as did Judd. So we've known each other forever, but I didn't really stumble on music until I went to college, and I fell in love with it hard. And so I just started playing little shows here and there, and eventually turned it into my career. And now I play about 250 shows a year. All over Twin Cities, kind of tri-state, Wisconsin, the Dakotas a little bit, Iowa, been down to Nashville and Lake Tahoe, and yeah, just feel very fortunate. Love what I do and just have a good time doing it.
I love that.
Get to drink beers with guys like you.
And of course I knew most of that, so the magic isn't exactly there, but I do want to talk about a brief moment that I saw Lars, the drummer from Metallica, interviewing Dave Grohl.
Yes.
Did you watch that?
I think I've seen this.
Okay, so Dave Grohl just released an album, and so one of these YouTube series, we're talking about how many shows do you play consecutively? Dave thought for a second and he goes, 1 or 2. And Lars goes, you play doubles? Yeah, I'm not even kidding you. And meanwhile, I'm just floored. I'm flabbergasted because we are guys that play like 6, 7 shows in a row.
Yeah.
And Dave's response was, yeah, and even sometimes 3. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'd like to get to that spot in my career where I'm like floored by guys like me who play. How do you play 6 shows in a row?
I've talked to some other musicians that, you know, they might just play weekends here and there. And when they ask me about, like, my schedule, I'm like, yeah, I basically have house gigs, like, 5 nights a week. With the occasional, like, Sunday or Tuesday thrown in there. And they're like, so you play, like, every night, basically? I'm like,
yeah, pretty much.
I think the most I ever did in 1 month was 33 shows.
That's if you count that is more shows than there are days in a month. At least here in America.
There were some doubled up, for sure, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was good.
All right, so let's get this started here. Tell us what your worst musical or entrepreneurial experience was.
Playing shows for venues where you don't end up getting paid. That's probably, I mean, because to be honest, I really enjoy like every aspect of what I do. I feel very lucky. But that's maybe the 1 or 2 times where, you know, you're expecting money, you put in work for these people, and then all of a sudden
they back out of the
it never shows up. Yeah, and you're just like, you know, unfortunately, I don't ask for enough money where I'm like, I'm going to take you to court over this because I would lose out horribly. But you get burned, and it's happened a few times, and it's always terrible. Or on the flip side, like a last-minute cancellation. Those always suck too.
Yeah, well, that just happened to you.
Yeah, a couple of them. Yeah, but
and we've all been there.
Yeah, and I mean, then you're just out, and you're like, you know, if they give you ample time, then maybe you can find another show. But
I think for me, those cancellations, at least at this point in my career, are less about, oh shoot, I don't have any shows this weekend, and more about, I spent time telling people to come to this, to come to your venue, to play this show, and those people are going to show up to your place, and they're going to be so disappointed that I'm not there.
Coincidentally, there was a situation the same weekend where another musician I knew, won't name names because I don't want to, but they had a show that they were playing canceled, and they received a voicemail from a number they didn't know about, it was basically a complaint about the fact that they weren't there, and they drove all the way there and no one let them know that the gig was canceled. And I mean, it was a last second show, so even updating your social media, you know, not Facebook or anything, that's pretty instantaneous, but say through your website, sometimes there's like a delay on the update.
You gotta notify people.
Yeah, and so he actually received basically like hate mail because he wasn't there. And after calling the person back and explaining the situation, was fine. But like, yeah, I mean that happens and it sucks.
I've definitely been there.
Yeah.
Okay, and tell us the moment that you realized, I want to be a musician. I want to pursue this, you know, full time.
Yeah.
This is my aha moment to be a musician.
Sure. Because I was working several odd jobs. I graduated in 2008, like right at the beginning of the recession, really hitting hard. And I went to school for graphic design and studio art. And so that was originally my intention. That was my career goal. But I started picking up music when I was in college. And I knew I loved it, and I wanted it to be part of my life in one way or another, whether it be playing open mic nights or the occasional show here and there. But at the time, I was applying for jobs, hundreds of jobs, and serving and bartending to try and make ends meet. But I'd play a show here and there. And then all of a sudden, through word of mouth, I started getting more show opportunities and loving it even more, playing for crowds that were really, really into what I was doing. And eventually, I looked at my schedule with my work and my schedule with music, and music was conflicting with my work because I was getting booked out so much. And that in my head, that was like the moment where I thought, you know, why don't I just do this? Why don't I give this a shot? I'm making more money doing this than I am bartending or doing anything else, and I love it. And I just dove in head first. That was about 9 years ago, I suppose, and I haven't looked back. I've just been able to sustain myself and play and get out. And, I mean, seriously, I feel so lucky, and I love every second of it. I get to.
There you go, kids. Just do it.
Follow your dreams.
Just do it. What are you waiting for? You. All right, so let's go to the lightning round, where I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions, and without thinking, I want you to go to like the first thought that comes to your mind. Don't even think about it. Just answer it. What was holding you back from becoming a professional musician?
Work. That was probably the biggest thing.
Work. Yeah. Earning that solid money.
Yeah. Consistency of. It was terrifying to dive in and be like, well, now if you're not playing, you're not making money.
But at the end of the day, when you know that you can accomplish when you can earn money, you can accomplish it by this means, you know, playing music or whatever that entrepreneurial step is. The one thing that stands in between you and following what you want to do is literally just doing it.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Because if you know that that's on the line, if whether or not you eat is on the line, you're gonna make money.
Yeah, you have to.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received when it came to music?
Be confident. I mean, that's got to be the biggest. You know, say you're playing a song and you maybe mess up a chord. Just be confident in that mess up and just keep playing through it. Or you miss like a lyric or something, you know? If the less attention you draw to it, the less anyone else is going to notice.
I can't tell you how many times I fuck up at a show.
Right. I would say that's the biggest thing. A mutual friend of ours, Todd Douglas, he first time he ever saw me play was at an open mic night, and he's like, "You were the most timid, like quiet in a microphone." Like, I mean, granted, I was getting up playing original songs, and I was like trying them out on people. And it's like, you know, it's scary.
Well, that's why you do that. So.
Yeah, and so I got up there, and you know, years down the line after I've been playing a bunch of shows and everything, he's like, it's night and day how it's like little timid Tim all of a sudden is just super confident.
Yeah.
And does it. And
but it's just doing it over and over
repetition,
and over.
For sure. Yeah.
You know?
And I love it, man. And then feeding off that energy, you know?
Right.
Oh, so good. So good.
What's a personal habit that contributes to your success? What do you do every day or every show that contributes to people wanting to come back and hang out with you?
Drinking? No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I think it's just being engaging. I think that's a huge part. You know, there's
Like even if you don't want to.
yeah. I mean, there's so many people that show up that really appreciate what we do, and you know, they go out of their way to come watch you play. And as long as you acknowledge them, you recognize that they're there, you make them feel like, you know, it's worth their time to come watch you. It makes a huge difference.
Huge.
Yeah.
I totally agree. What are you currently listening to? What's in your CD player?
Oh man, it's been in my CD player for a while, but Chris Stapleton, Traveler, man, I can't stop listening to it. It's one that I find myself, even when I buy new albums, I still go back to it and I listen to it. That's been huge. Mark Broussard, A Life Worth Living,
Yeah.
is a great album as well. Otherwise, on the total flip side, I've gotten way into Lil Dicky. Do you know who Lil Dicky is?
No,
Oh my
I need to
God.
check this out.
Total white boy rapper.
Okay.
And hilarious. Like he knows that he fits the bill as the white boy rapper, and he just plays it to his strengths. Got some really incredible stuff. Really catchy. Really. He's got a song called "Save That Money"
Yeah.
because he's Jewish.
Yeah.
Again.
Oh, I think I know
Again,
what this is.
hilarious.
Yeah.
But the whole song is about like spending the least amount of money as you can, but making this, like, his video is this really elaborate video, and it's awesome.
Put a shout out to Caleb Holly,
Oh,
who just
yeah.
released an incredible
It's so cool.
tribute to Minneapolis, because Prince is all over that album.
Oh yeah, I've seen, and his advertising for it was so awesome.
Awesome.
Little quick
Absolutely.
clips of him just
Dancing.
dancing behind like the green screen wall, like
You know he's a Minnesota local guy?
yeah.
I had no idea.
Him and I actually found him through Chris Lawrence, another local guy.
I found him through my old bass player, Ryan Butler.
Yeah, exactly. And he's unbelievable.
Yes.
Monster. Yep.
He is. He's in New York now, I think. I think he's been in New York for a while,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay. If you could recommend one book to anybody that's thinking about diving into the music career, or an online resource, what would it be?
That's a really good question. You know, to be honest, I really haven't dove into a lot of literature. I think for me, I'm fortunate that the group of people I surround myself with, like in the local music scene, I mean, they're probably my best resource as far as like trying new things and different things, because there's so many people, especially in the Minnesota scene
Yeah.
and the local scene here, that they just have so much information. I'm, you know, in the grand scheme, I'm still kind of a rookie when it comes to all this stuff.
Right.
And so, you know, Adam Daniel, he's played in multiple bands, traveled overseas, Tim Mahoney, all those, you know.
So you lean on your network, your connections.
I would say more than anything, but as far as like, I mean, this really isn't music related, but as far as like an inspirational book that kind of made me dive harder into like going after it, I've always been such a huge fan of Into the Wild.
That counts.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
that's an amazing book.
That would be, I read it, I mean, I read it probably once or twice a year, just because I love it. And the whole idea of like, just giving up on everything and just going after
doing
what you want.
Right.
You know, that was basically what you did when you dive into the music scene, so.
You're right. You are literally diving into the wild.
Mhm.
It's got a little bit of
I mean, obviously, don't
a
die.
somber
Don't
tone
die at the end.
is
Yeah.
what I was gonna say.
That's what-
How do you feel inspired at the end of the book?
That would be my other advice: is don't die.
Don't die while trying to do
Don't
this.
eat the bad berries.
Well, finally, how can we connect with you?
The website's getting finished. TimothyHowemusic.com.
Okay. TimothyHowemusic.com.
Yep. Otherwise, Facebook, YouTube, everything is Timothy Howe Music, which
Yeah.
is probably the. I mean, I purposely tried to make sure that it was all the same,
Yeah.
easy to search for. But yeah, I mean, I try and do Facebook Live shows every once in a while.
Yes.
And especially through Facebook, my schedule's constantly updated. So check it out. Lots of opportunities.
So this isn't your first introduction to Timothy Howe. I know you've seen him in other videos, but he was certainly a safe bet when it came to starting this series. I knew he was going to be interesting, and you did not fail at all. So thanks for participating in the first segment of Brews and Eats with Badass Peeps.
Badass Peeps. I'll be a badass peep. I'll take it.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks for hanging out with us.